Okay, welcome to Brew and Babble, episode 2. Yay. There's not actually a lot of exciting stuff this week. No new books. I think I kind of covered that last week, so I think we're kind of caught up with everything last week, and now we're going to have a kind of almost like a drip effect going forward. But nothing real on Witch Talk either. There's obviously some drama going on there because there always is some drama going on there. But nothing really worth talking about. I did pick up some stories, though. I just want to have a look at. There was this one from CNN, specifically the travel. Is it the travel section of CNN? What do they call it? Yeah, well, just a travel piece. Hello, Psycat. Thanks for joining. So there's a group in Athens called Labris, who they're genuinely religiously worship the ancient Greek gods and stuff. But they're kind of like trying to make people aware that they're not reenactors. It's not just for aesthetics and things like that. It's actual practice. In 2026, worshipping Zeus, Athena, Dionysus, Poseidon, etc., etc. Um, but CNN caught them doing what's called a Plinteria, which is an old purification festival where they ritually clean a statue of Athena. So you can imagine white robes, a stone altar from frankincense burning, someone playing an ancient reed pipe called an aulos, while tourists are wandering around and just their phones out and filming everything. Now, just to give you a bit of background, the co-founder, he goes by the religious name Pandion. I do have his real name here somewhere. I'll check if it's not in here. It's in the other tab. Hold on. Let's go through this first. All right. So his guy's name is Pandion. Goes by the name Pandion. And he's insistent that it's not a revival. His argument is Greek religion never actually died; it got absorbed. But I think we kind of know that Greek religion has always been around. Um, let's see. Even Orthodox Christianity borrowed from it, such as Poseidon basically becoming Saint Nicholas. So it's always been around somewhere, right? But there's also a cultural ownership angle. You probably heard of Christopher Nolan's new Odyssey movie that came out on the 17th. And this Pandion fellow, he's a bit annoyed because he says that there's not a single Greek actor in it. We can't please anybody, can we? So he calls it appropriation. Hollywood treating Greek mythology as free for all in a way he thinks it doesn't dare with, for instance, ancient Indian religious stories. Um, but as I said, can't please everybody. It is worth knowing or noting that Labris, the group itself, they are actually a split from another Greek polytheistic group or they split from this other Greek polytheist group in 2007, specifically to get away from far-right homophobic politics that had crept into that group's religious practice. The problem is that although they say that they're kind of open to anyone with genuine interest, they don't perform same-sex marriages. So, yeah. What was his real name? Let me just check over here. I know I saw it. Oh, Christopher Panopoulos. There you go. Sorry, not Christopher. Christos Panopoulos. That's the name of Pandion. All right, so let's go on to this little story here. This is actually an old story. It's about the fortune-telling ban. There's a woman in Pennsylvania who has been kind of fighting this with the courts. Um, James, hello. You're going to lurk. That's okay. This is a lurking kind of live anyway. I'm just filling you in on what's going on around the world. But let's just have a look at this. So this was as I said, it's a pretty old case actually. Goes back to 2023, but it's focused around Pennsylvania because the person who's fighting it is, I assume, in Pennsylvania. Um, but it's an ongoing legal and legislative fight over the 19th century fortune-telling law. Um, so the case centers on this woman, Beck Ravenswood, who is the owner of the Serpent's Key Shop and Sanctuary in Hanover, Pennsylvania. So back in 2023, the local police chief visited the shop after a newspaper feature on their tarot services and warned Ravenswood that charging for tarot readings could be criminal. And Pennsylvania has a law making it a misdemeanor to, quote, pretend for gain or lucre to tell fortunes, punishable by up to a year in jail and a $2,500 fine. Right? So Ravenswood says the warning had an immediate chilling effect on both business and their spiritual practice. So in 2024, Ravenswood filed a federal civil rights lawsuit against Hanover Borough and the police chief, arguing the law violates the First and 14th Amendments, that paid tarot readers are protected speech, that the statute is unconstitutionally vague, and that it interferes with the right to earn a living through practice that's also core to Ravenswood's religion. On the legislative side, there's a companion bill, House Bill 1562, sitting in the Pennsylvania General Assembly that would repeal the statute outright. Okay, all right. But now you've got to also mention Pennsylvania is not unique in this. There's Oklahoma, Wisconsin, New York. They all still have similar statutes on the books. That and cities like San Francisco, they require permits, fingerprinting, and background checks for paid readings instead of banning them outright. So this law kind of filters through a lot of different areas, but it's a bit ridiculous. I mean, as I said, this is a law from well, 19th century. I'm not sure what date it was actually, what year it is. Doesn't show up here. Um, but let's just see this. Yeah. So anyway, wish Beck Ravenswood good luck with that. Hope it comes through because it is a bit ridiculous. You know, we live in modern times, but I suppose if they can kind of hold on to anything which puts anything unchristian down, they'll hold on to it for dear life. Then next bit of news I kind of came across. There's two mainstream outlets that's turned their attention to witchcraft. You know, which is growth and everything else. First one is Fast Company, which is a business, a tech magazine, which is not exactly witch adjacent territory, but it ran a piece on the expanding metaphysical retail market, noting a wave of new occult and witchcraft-focused shops opening across the US and Canada. The reporting frames this as these shops function as community hubs where people take classes, get readings, and attend rituals fueled by witch talk, online marketplaces, and renewed interest from horror films like Obsession. Actually, the movie Obsession actually had a real Burbank shop in it, the Green Man, which I thought was quite interesting. James, you said, call me a scoundrel, but surely it wouldn't be illegal to charge the customer for a pot of tea and offer a free tarot reading. I think that's probably a good way to get around it, to be honest with you. Yeah. In fact, you know, a charge for the tea. Not what did you say? Oh, yes, charge the customer for a pot of tea. Yeah, we give a free tarot reading. I think that would be a perfect way to get around it. But why? The thing is, why should we need to? These are old laws that should have been squashed years ago. I mean, this was when Gardner sort of started coming out and talking about witchcraft and stuff. It was because they'd repealed the laws and kind of won. But the laws were still there that witches could be persecuted. Um, so, they were fighting that at the time. But it's still, this is like, what, 60, 70, 80 years later. And we're still having the same problems. It's ridiculous, it really is. Um, where was I with this? Yeah, Obsession. So Obsession had the Green Man in it. Um, then Vogue ran a parallel feature on Los Angeles witchcraft scene specifically. Covens metaphysical businesses, ritual spaces like the Witch's Cottage in North Hollywood. Their framing leans into witchcraft as empowerment and identity, especially for women and LGBTQ plus practitioners, positioning it as part of a broader cultural shift toward alternative and self-directed spirituality rather than sensationalizing it. And then separately, we've got the things like the Disney animations Hexed, which is an animation feature about a teen girl named Billy who discovers magical powers and a hidden world of witches. This is coming out in November, on November 25th, I believe. This got selected for California's expanded film and television tax credit program, whatever that may be. But a headline, this is where the Christians have to have their say, obviously. A headline framing it as California pays Disney to make a witchcraft movie, set off some backlash from conservative Christian commentators who argue the film normalizes occult themes for kids. Yeah, and well, so what? We've got freaking Christian movies all over the place normalizing Christianity for kids as well. Um, yeah, so it gets ridiculous. It really does. Then the last story I could actually find today was not really. It's not really a witchcraft story, I suppose, but archaeologists on South Uist in Scotland's Outer Hebrides um, significantly revised what they thought they knew about a site long called the Witch's Grave in Gaelic. I'm going to try and do this in Gaelic. It's Lach Nua Ban U Vuch Uk. There you go. Try it again. Lach Nu Ban U Vuch Uk. There you go. Got it. Sort of. Sorry for all Gaelic people out there who are just slaughtering the language. Anyway, it had a traditionally, or it had traditionally been treated as like a single prehistoric burial, but new excavation and modern dating and environmental analysis show it was actually part of a much larger Neolithic ceremonial landscape, thousands of years old. Psychot's one of the worst movies, The Love Witch. I kind of enjoyed it actually. I don't think people quite got the context. I mean, it's really about a woman who was abused by the patriarchy and men in general. Even when she joins the coven and she gets abused by the high priest in the coven, and then she goes through a psychosis and starts taking revenge. I thought it was actually a really good movie. Um, but anyway, so carrying on. Where was I? Um, all right. So yeah, this dig. Um, well, it's not really about witches, but it is quite some interesting history. So the dig was carried out with the Uist Community Archaeology Group as part of the Scotland's earliest megalithic monuments project. Um, Overacting. That was part of the movie's charm. I mean, it was done in when it's 2024 and it was based in like a 60s kind of role, which and in the 60s they were overacting. I really think it was done well, but yeah, difference of opinions. That's fine. Um, where am I now? Oh yeah, oh yeah. So yeah, part of the blah 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 monuments projects, right? Now, researchers found evidence in the site's layout, the construction, and surviving deposits pointing to repeated activity and changing uses across many generations rather than one isolated funerary event. Um, but yeah, I think it's quite kind of common, but a bit weird if you think about it. You know, a burial site that keeps being reused. I don't know. Yeah, we do it nowadays. So not that weird. But in other words, um, what looked like basically what looked like a single grave was actually connected to a broader ritual enclosure that likely served ceremonial communal purposes for some of Britain's earliest farming communities. Um, but despite the name, archaeologists say there's no actual evidence the site ever had anything to do with witches or witchcraft. The witch grave label reflects much later folklore, layered onto the monument long after it was built. This is um, really a case study of how communities reinterpret ancient sites through whatever cultural or religious lens is dominant at the time. But I thought it was interesting to add. As I say, not super exciting news today. No, none of the gossip we can usually bring with witch talk and stuff. But anyway, but that's it for this week. Personal announcements. I am the next workshop that's coming up next month, August, is the creation of the familiar spirit. So if you want to book for that, get in now while the special's still going. I am going to be adding the Goetia masterclass to my website. I actually need to update the homepage as well. I'm going to be busy with that this week. So I'll update the homepage and I'll add that masterclass in. So that should be available for bookings end of this week, beginning of next week. Um, and then apart from that, we're doing the um, book club on Patreon. This month's book, which we're currently reading, is Six Ways. We'll be doing the Zoom meeting and kind of discussion of that next week Sunday. Or was it? No, sorry, this week Sunday. I'll just check my dates. Hold on. Yeah, sorry, this week Sunday. This coming Sunday. And then the one after that, the next one we're going to be reading is Of Blood and Bones by Kate Frula. Um, I'm sure I read that before, but I see a lot of people talking about it, recommended it and things like that. So I thought I'd read it again because I don't remember it. But yeah, so that's all of the news we have for today. And thank you for joining. I'll see everybody on not Tuesday today. I'll see everybody on Thursday. On Thursday for the Hedge and History, I'm gonna be talking about moon water and how it's kind of gone off the rails basically in our modern practice. But you'll understand why on Thursday when I talk about it. So have a good one, and until then,